Check. Here we go. Another day, another video, another day in the feeding frenzy surrounding the 6ix9ine arrest. Before we get into things, I just want to say I'm wearing one of the new No Jumper shirts. It's a little something different, representing for kendama culture, but you guys might like it. You might want to check it out on nojumper.com. We also got a bunch of other stuff on there, new stuff that I feel like you guys would be into. So head on over to nojumper.com. You know we got all those holiday deals and whatnot. Anyway, the news keeps coming about this kid. I was just watching a clip on Joe Budden's podcast where he was sort of talking about the feeding frenzy that has taken place around 6ix9ine and how every day people are just trying to pump out videos back to back. I noticed that today DJ Vlad took an interview from maybe 6 months ago where I spoke on how I met 6ix9ine, which that's a whole story, and there's a vlog depicting me meeting him like maybe a year and a half ago or some shit like that. No face tattoos, no rainbow hair. He had gross, disgusting green hair. And I kind of told the whole story on Vlad's thing, and he re-upped it today. He's been re-upping clips of like everybody's had talk about 6ix9ine. And I understand, you know, because at the end of the day, a lot of us were just kind of going into the office every day thinking, all right, my job's to make videos today. What are going to be some videos that are going to get some views? And invariably, people seem to want to click on videos about 6ix9ine right now, which is completely understandable because a lot of times in rap, when it comes to making videos, we're talking about things that are pretty immaterial, just really kind of silly, you know? Like, take, for instance, the Tory Lanez Joyner Lucas beef and everything. I mean, it's been pretty obvious that that was pro wrestling. And then on the other hand, we have this, where something fucking crazy is happening that is some real life shit, and there's really no chance that this is fake. So, you know, it's exciting. Today, actually, in terms of other stories that have leaked surrounding the 6ix9ine thing, the actual full-length phone calls are out of Shotty and the other Treyway members planning to, quote-unquote, super violate 6ix9ine, which, if you know any guys from New York, you know that super violate is like the most New York thing you could possibly ever say. I mean, typically when you hear somebody talk about violating, when it comes to New Yorkers, it's not specifically about murder per se, but violate is definitely something that New Yorkers say a lot. And so they have those new transcripts where Shotty and them are sort of planning out what might happen to 6ix9ine since they considered him to be a disloyal person since he went on the radio and sort of disavowed Treyway. But today, it's come out that he may have actually been loyal to one person that you might not have expected. This is a post on Hot New Hip Hop, which has become sort of my go-to rap blog. I got to shout them out. Tekashi 6ix9ine allegedly axed Fashion Nova due to Nicki Minaj's Cardi B beef. So let's do a dramatic reading of this, and I'll throw the link in the description if you guys want to read this yourself. Tekashi 6ix9ine dropped his album Dummy Boy from behind bars, and it appears he may have done bad business on the project. TMZ did some digging and found out that Tekashi screwed over Fashion Nova on the song Mama featuring Kanye West and Nicki Minaj. On the song, Tekashi raps, "Splish splash, apple bottoms make that ass fat." As noted by Genius, the original lyric went, "Splish splash, Fashion Nova make that ass fat." This change in designer may have had something to do with Nicki Minaj. TMZ sources claim that Tekashi had a deal with Fashion Nova worth 6 figures, which, by the way, that is so fucking annoying. My girlfriend's pretty popping on the gram, and she's done some stuff with Fashion Nova. She definitely didn't get no 6 figures. We got to renegotiate. Anyway, they paid him the full amount up front, and he promised to promote their line in his music. When Kanye, Nick, and Tekashi attempted to shoot the music video for the song, there was an actual shooting that led to the cancellation of the visuals. As we all know, soon after, Tekashi was placed under arrest in a RICO case. If you head over to TMZ, you can check out the original promo. We're not going to be doing that for copyright reasons. Sources tell TMZ that Nicki Minaj felt some type of way about being on a song that mentioned Fashion Nova. This may be due to Cardi B's deal with the company. Allegedly, Nicki asked Tekashi to take Fashion Nova out of the song, which means he backed out of the deal after he already got paid. Now that's bad business. This revelation also adds depth to the speculation that Nicki dissed Cardi on Mama. Anyway, this is fucking interesting because, you know, I always notice that there'll be a rap song and there'll be a moment in the song where the rapper is using a noun and referring to some brand in a way that feels a little bit unnecessary. Like an obvious example has always stood out to me is like Drake when he said, "Why you gotta fight with me at Cheesecake? You know I love to go there." You know, I heard that, and I was just thinking, like, this is obviously years ago, but I was thinking, man, like, he could have said any brand there, any restaurant. He could have said, why you got to fight with me at TGI Fridays? You know I love to go there. And everybody would have kind of reacted the same way that they did to the Cheesecake Factory line. Now, Cheesecake Factory is probably a good brand to put in there just because, you know, Cheesecake Factory is a little nicer than TGI Fridays. I don't know if you've been to TGI Fridays recently. I haven't, but I remember that the food sucks, and Cheesecake Factory is a little better. But it's like, you know, it seemed pretty clear to me that this is probably the kind of deal that was negotiated in private. And, you know, there's no reason for that line to really exist outside of the fact that it's a pretty obvious place to make some money. And, you know, he's got a whole team that can go out and speak to all these different brands and figure out who's going to give him the most money for that line. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe that's not how it went down. Maybe Drake was just thinking about Cheesecake Factory. To me, probably not. So anyway, Tekashi 6ix9ine, when he wrote this song lyric, he basically could have used any women's clothing line, right? Like he could have like he mentions Apple Bottoms, which, you know, I guess I doubt that he got money from them. They're not so much like an active brand that I know about. Fashion Nova, on the other hand, I guess like at this point it's pretty obvious that anytime you see something about Fashion Nova in a song, it's probably paid product placement, especially from a guy like 6ix9ine. Like, why the fuck would he be mentioning Fashion Nova if he didn't have to? If I had this deal, if I was a rapper, I'd probably say something about like, I'm a Fashion Nova supernova. That's how I feel. Anyway, the weird part about this, aside from the fact that it's obvious that these sort of conversations were going down and that there were contracts which sort of stipulated that 6ix9ine had to specifically mention this women's fashion brand, the weird part about it to me is that he allegedly got 6 figures for this deal, which is a lot of money, even for somebody like him. We know that he had $1.7 million in the bank at the time of his arrest, and who knows how much of his actual net worth that's representative of. But, I mean, it's a pretty significant amount for anybody, and the fact that he would just roll over in the face of Nicki Minaj not wanting him to mention that brand on that song, I mean, that shows a level of loyalty to Nicki that he never really seemed capable of showing towards his actual gang members that he was apparently in cahoots with. And that's sort of interesting because really, from my perspective, Nicki, Kanye, they're sort of vultures in this situation because they're both people who are at, you know, objectively maybe not the best moments in their careers. And they sort of swooped in on the 6ix9ine thing and were like, well, you know what? Nobody else is going to go and do songs with you, or like nobody else in like the mega star category. Obviously, 6ix9ine's had features from people like, you know, A Boogie and Fetty Wap and all these guys and everything. Tory Lanez, all pretty well-known big artists. But I mean, Nicki Minaj and Kanye are kind of in a different class in terms of hugeness. So it's kind of crazy that they sort of saddled up with him. But from my perspective, when you look at all the success that Nicki had with Fifi and everything, it's like it's clearly like a pretty good move for her. And I feel like she didn't really take the backlash that you might have expected from like the woke community, who was really like the market that when I saw Nicki doing a song with 6ix9ine, I was like, holy shit, the feminists are going to come for her. And maybe they did. There was probably definitely a lot of tweets and stuff, but do you really feel like it hurt her? I don't really feel like that at all. But the fact that 6ix9ine was actually loyal to her in this case is kind of interesting and sort of shows where his head was at in terms of the long term, in terms of what he thought his future in the game was going to be like. Because the fact that he would sort of betray the 9 Trey gangsta bloods so freely, but stay tight with Nicki Minaj, even when there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, I mean, that says a lot. He was probably in the position where he was about to try to make the transition away from that whole gang lifestyle that he got wrapped up in early in his career for protection. He maybe didn't realize that he was going to get so big that he would be able to afford security and all that to a certain extent. And then once he got there, he was like, well, man, why the hell am I hanging out with all these gangbangers? I want to be hanging out with Nicki Minaj. Can you blame him? I mean, I get it, you know, kind of makes sense to me. Like everybody now, I mean, hindsight is 20/20, as they say, and everybody can look at this situation now and be like, damn, like why the fuck would he saddle up with those dudes knowing that all kinds of bullshit comes with that? The other way of looking at it is like, how would his existence in New York have been if he didn't get down with some gangster dudes? Because maybe some really bad stuff would have happened to him. I mean, realistically, from my perspective, my opinion will probably always be he should have moved to Calabasas and got a rental mansion out there like everybody else does in a gated community and stayed the fuck away from all the shenanigans in the streets. But, you know, these things happen. Let me know what you guys think about what's going on in 6ix9ine's career right now. Don't mean to shit on the guy's situation or anything. I just think it's fucking interesting, and obviously everybody wants to hear everybody talk about this. So we're going to keep feeding you until you get sick of it. Who knows? Like, if he's seriously going to be in prison for 10 months until he gets out, I mean, god damn. That's going to be a whole lot of us scrimping and trying to make videos out of nothing. But that's basically what YouTube's about these days. So shout out to anybody who watched this. Head on over to nojumper.com. Smash a like on this. Drop a comment. Adam22, we out.